Welcome back. Now for our final CBS Radio clip of fame. But first, a note of thanks to Jamie Benson and Dustin Gervais. They lent considerable help to me pulling together CBS Radio archive clips. Also, my profound thanks to Max Losardo and Matt Parlapiano, who produced these tribute segments. It has been our honor to work on this and memorialize some of the best work of this journalistic powerhouse known as CBS News Radio. As we have learned following this journey, radio is immediate, raw, and present. It captures sights and sounds and shreds of information in those manic moments when news first breaks. Never, ever was that more true than September 11th, 2001. We are approaching the 25th anniversary of that harrowing day of atrocities in New York, Washington, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. When it started, it was impossible to sense the enormity of what was to come.
CBS News, I'm Nick Young. A disaster in downtown New York City. A plane has crashed into one of the two World Trade Center towers. This man witnessed the aftermath.
I see a gaping hole at the top of the World Trade Center, almost to the top. Not quite up there. I wasn't looking at it as I was driving towards it. I just heard a huge explosion.
WCBS radio helicopter traffic pilot Tom Kaminsky has more.
We are now looking at flames shooting out of the north side of number 1 World Trade Center, but there are at least some windows blown out and smoke billowing out of the opposite side.
One report quotes an eyewitness who says it was a twin-engine plane. It is unclear how many people were in the area of the crash or how many injuries there may be.
In those early moments, reporting indicated it was a wayward and possibly much smaller plane that hit one of the twin towers. Then another smashed into the other tower. As ever, radio reached for eyewitness accounts from the unfolding scene of destruction.
Two planes have hit each of the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. This man not far away heard and saw the first.
I see a gaping hole at the top of the World Trade Center, almost to the top. Not quite up there. I wasn't looking at it as I was driving towards it. I just heard a huge explosion.
That plane hit the upper part of one of the towers. Pictures from the scene showing flames and a lot of smoke pouring out of the building. Then an apparent second plane hitting the other tower. This man tried to help one victim who was nearby.
When I looked over, there was this guy that was on fire, so I just kind of like ran over, and I tried to like put the fire out on him, and he was like screaming, and I just told him to roll, and he said he can't.
This man saw the first plane hit the building.
It didn't look like there was any trouble at all with the plane. He didn't swerve at all. It just landed directly in the building. It was like almost like a gray-black color in nature on the plane. He was like he wanted to fly into the building.
Again, two planes have apparently hit each of the two towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. There's been no word on casualties.
It seems inconceivable now, but in these earliest minutes, it was hard to imagine that this was a coordinated terrorist attack, or that planes had actually been hijacked, or that more was coming. But there were, in these dreadful early times, a sense that terrorism might be behind it, with one potential mastermind.
CBS News Update, I'm Nick Young. Two airplanes have crashed into both towers of New York City's World Trade Center within minutes of each other, leaving gaping holes, flames licking up the sides of the 110-story buildings, and thick black smoke billowing into the air. This man, Steve Higgins, watched the second plane hit about 18 minutes after the first impact.
Another jet came from 903. Came from, like, let's say, South Ferry. It came up. And we saw the second plane, the second jet now. It wasn't just a small plane, hit the second tower.
There is no immediate word on injuries or fatalities. The White House has just announced that as of now, the crashes have triggered no national security alert. The possibility of a terrorist attack? CBS News correspondent Jim Stewart.
There's no confirmation that this is a terrorist attack, number one, or number two, that it's Osama bin Laden involvement. But I can tell you right now, that is what they are thinking. That is the working premise.
Once again, no immediate word on injuries or fatalities. CBS News Update. I'm Nick Young.
Then the word hijacking began to be invoked, and the president became directly involved. Also, traffic patterns in New York, in the air and on the ground, began to change.
Both towers of the World Trade Center in New York City are burning, smoke pouring from them after two planes hit each tower. The impacts triggered explosions and fire. WCBS air traffic reporter Tom Kaminsky.
LaGuardia Airport has said there are 2 confirmed aircraft into the World Trade Center, and they want no one at all in this area. They are, in effect, if you can possibly picture this, cordoning off the entire area around the World Trade Center and around Manhattan.
The planes hit the towers about 18 minutes apart. Witnesses describing them as twin-engine planes. There's been no firm word on casualties. This man saw one of the planes hit and says it looked deliberate.
It didn't look like there was any trouble at all with the plane. He didn't swerve at all. He just landed directly in the building. It was like almost like a gray black color in nature on the plane. He was like he wanted to fly into the building.
The FBI, according to the Associated Press, is investigating reports of a plane hijacking just before the crashes. CBS News correspondent Jim Stewart covers the Justice Department.
Right now, they are trying to determine whether, in fact, it was deliberate. They have no information they can share at the moment, and I get the sense that they're in the same mode that we are.
The White House says President Bush, who's now at an elementary school event in Florida, is aware of the incident, and he's heading back to Washington. CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
National radio relies on local radio, always has. WCBS was crucial to reportage here in New York, and as this murderous plot unfolded, Washington became part of the carnage, and WTOP in Washington was on the scene.
We have some indication of fire and smoke at the Pentagon right now. WTOP's Neil Augenstein. All right, we've just had some kind of line interruption there, but we're going to get that back up. Have we got that worked out? All right, the report we have is of fire and smoke at the Pentagon. We should tell you that we have gotten calls from people who live and work around the Pentagon who have told us that they have seen something that they have described as an explosion. This is information we have not been able to confirm. And we are trying right now to get Neil Augenstein, who has some line of view of this situation. And we are working through a problematic telephone problem for you right now.
Yes, there were problems that morning, communication and otherwise. The scale of the destruction was hard to comprehend in the moment. And that sense of disbelief would continue throughout the day. CBS Radio on the spot in the earliest and most perplexing moments of 9/11. One of the worst days in all of American history, reporting what happened as it happened. That has always been a hallmark, the hallmark of CBS News Radio. This show has been honored to remember and celebrate those achievements and that legacy. For more on all of this, CBS has produced a podcast tribute. Good night and good luck. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.